Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Read No Substitutions from the Strange Matter series. Let's continue from where we left off last time. Chapter 10. It didn't take much to sneak out of the house. I slipped out my window, down onto the garage roof, down that steep angle to the drain, down the drain to the driveway, and from there to the tree-lined street off Sycamore Way. It took me exactly 12 minutes to jog to the corner of Elm and Willow. Shelley waited there. I could see her breath in the brisk air. "Right on time," she said. "Of course. You ready?" "Let's go." She started up the street towards the freeway. We talked excitedly. The words bounced out between quick steps and icy gulps of air. "I don't get it. He moves too fast. Way too fast. He talks, and you can't see him. He keeps massive insect zoos in cardboard boxes, and reads a lot of things that howl in the night." I watched my feet hit every single crack in the sidewalk. "He used to play football. I asked my dad about him between the yelling and cries of disbelief over his daughter's criminal behavior. Dad said Calhoun used to be the best. No one could stop him. He moved so fast you couldn't see him, and if you tried to tackle him, he'd jump over you like an animal. If he had the ball, it was a guaranteed touchdown. People called him the Beast of Fairfield High." "Oh yeah?" "He had such a huge head." Shelley carefully avoided each crack in the sidewalk. I gathered that. "The guy had 2 zip codes for his ego alone. Apparently his whole family was a jock." Apparently his whole family was jock. Everyone called his dad the Beast, as well as his older brothers. There are pictures and trophies all over the high school. Dad seemed surprised to hear that he actually came back to town after what happened in 1974. I bit. "What happened?" "Dad said they made him quit." "Why?" We stopped at a red light. The crosswalk signal pressed with a click under my finger, the metal unusually cold. "He crippled some guy for life. Broke his neck on the 5-yard line." I stopped abruptly and looked at Shelley as she slowly spun around the metal pole. "Dad told me that Calhoun's speed amazed him. He said the poor guy never knew what hit him. They both ran so fast across the field that the grass under them blurred into a streak. Then, wham! A sickening crack, and it was all over." "Like a rabbit," I thought. My heart sank as I recall Mr. Mayfield's science film in gruesome detail. Dad said that Calhoun smiled and waved as the poor guy's stretcher slid into the ambulance. The crowd didn't make a sound, but Calhoun's dad and his brothers cheered and howled in victory. Calhoun bowed, in my head, receiving imaginary cheers. The dissection knife gleamed in his hand. He stared at me with shimmering silver eyes. "I guess they'll let anybody substitute teach these days," Shelley said. We waited for the traffic signal to change. It had just turned yellow. "Wait a minute, yellow? It should have gone straight from red to green. Something must have been wrong with the light. No cars around. But I'd been in enough trouble that day. I'd wait for a walking signal." "What a creep," I said, my hands in my pockets. He left town with his family a week later, after some kind of trouble with his dad. He's still a legend of sorts, an underground football hero. Dad said a lot of his friends still think of Calhoun as the greatest quarterback in Fairfield ever saw. Now he's back. "Your dad told you all this? Well, no, not exactly. I overheard him and Mom talking about it while I was stewing in my room. After they found out who got me in trouble, they almost believed my story. I wish I could say the same. I'm in the doghouse for good, I moped. Good choice of words, she joked. What do you mean by that? She just laughed. What happened to Calhoun's dad? I asked, staring at the light. An awfully long time for a light to change. Very weird. He died last year. Dad thinks that's why Calhoun came back to Fairfield, to get away from his family. Shelley also stared up at the light. It glowed a dingy yellow. The crossing signal remained cold, dead black. What did his dad do? I asked. My attention was more focused on the light than the question. He was the dog catcher. The light refused to change. On to Chapter 11. Let's continue. The traffic light cast its sickly yellow glow on the cool night mist that drifted around it. We kept staring at it, willing it to change. It didn't. What's up with that dumb light? Shelley asked. I could tell. The light gave her the creeps, though she'd never admit it. The light stayed yellow, the only light shining on the empty streets. No light in the houses, and no car lights headed down the streets. Man, this is ridiculous. What's going on? I felt a trickle of fear run down my neck. The light remained yellow. We looked around nervously. A small breeze stirred the dead air, but the light refused to sway. It didn't move a bit. It shone through the mist with its dull yellow glow. Then I became aware of parked cars. They sat like abandoned shells everywhere. They lined the streets like tombstones, all silent and dark. My pulse quickened as the feeling of being watched crept over me. I heard something behind us, not on the sidewalk, but under a large moving van, parked on the corner, right behind us. Did you hear that? I whispered. Hear what? Shelley whispered back. Something crawled across the concrete under the van. I frantically looked behind me. That! Did you hear it? My eyes locked onto the dark hulk of the moving van. The whole van creaked and swayed, as if something slid under it. Shelley saw it too. Without a word, bolted across the street, light or no light. Shelley! I yelled, and I ran after her, into the middle of the street. Instantly, 2 headlights sprang to life in a car on the opposite side of the street. The car screeched forwards, but its wheels didn't turn. Smoke curled from the rubber as it screamed against the pavement. Something howled, propelling the car towards us, with its emergency brake on. Shelley screamed as the car lunged at her. I lunged too, and knocked us both to the sidewalk. The car stopped behind us in the middle of the crosswalk. Shelley closed her eyes and screamed. I turned and saw it. A hulking, sulking huge figure with pointed dog-like ears removed its claws from the back of the car with a metallic groan. It turned to come after us, only a few steps away. I couldn't see it well in the dark, but I knew it would be on us in moments. I pulled Shelley to her feet and we ran. The sound of my heartbeat echoed in my head, in time to the rapid smack of my sneakers against the pavement. I wouldn't look back no matter what. I couldn't be sure if Shelley had kept up with me. I lost track of her in the dark. I felt sick to my stomach and guilty for not thinking more about Shelley's safety. But in my mind, I saw those claws pulling out of the car's bumper. That horrible, hairy figure outlined the pale yellow of the traffic light. I couldn't stop for anything. Shelley screamed. Next up, Chapter Chapter 12. I think I'm gonna cut that one a little bit short here tonight, so we'll find out what happens. That's a good cliffhanger. We'll find out what happens next time. Thank you all for watching once more. Happy Halloween and good night.